Okay, good morning and welcome, guys. It is Wednesday, the beautiful 5th of October. This is Pounds for Breakfast, and as always, I am your host, Dane Vandermas. Guys, we're about to have a ton of fun. We had an amazing session yesterday. If you were part of that, just go and drop the love in the comments and let me know you were part of what happened yesterday, because in the past couple of weeks, we've been speaking about markets coming back to normality, and we're finally seeing that unfold right in front of our eyes. Now, just quickly having a look at the comments and our absolutely amazing community. Guys, you are what makes this channel, right? For every single person commenting right now, you are why we have Globex 360 live TV. And just understand that, give yourselves a pat on the back. For those of you that have been participating on a daily basis, not missing a show, just want to say absolutely huge amounts of love for you, because again, you make it possible and you get me so excited to be here to do these things with you. And the whole team at Globex is just so excited to see the engagement of what you guys are doing and what we're doing together. We are changing the world one pip at a time. So absolutely huge love. Just a quick shout out to everybody that is joining us. I can see Mackenzie Kudzai and Mobile. I can see Robert Jr. Welcome, Rap Killer, wife Keegan. I can see Rahiz, Silas, Nzamo, Tabang, and Suda, Raiz, Ashad. Guys, welcome to this very special edition of our Pounds for Breakfast. And again, as you guys saw by the thumbnail, something big is cooking, and we touched on it yesterday. We just didn't dive in enough detail, and I couldn't have predicted that this was going to end up happening today. But there is some massive opportunity for us to start diversifying some of the trading opportunities that are available to us and starting to get a little bit more involved in stocks and shares on the markets from a CFD perspective. So we are going to spend a little bit of time on that as well today as we jump in. But again, as always, guys, just massive shout out to every single one of you that is joining us live here today. Now, I am going to be giving away, in line with what we've announced this week, we're going to be giving away another $250 credit towards your live account, so that not only can you capitalize on these opportunities, but you can absolutely change your trading game and just take things to an absolutely whole new level. So obviously stand by and obviously keep an eye out in terms of what that's going to be, because I'm going to drop hints in the show as we lead up to that giveaway, and you can stand a chance with the others that we've given away tens of thousands of rands in the past couple of days. And if you want to be a part of that, just stick around and listen very keenly, and I will announce it. Now remember, again, this is at absolute random. And please also appreciate the fact that I'm looking at the information coming through a chat. You may be first, you may be last, you may be right in the middle, but I'll simply look at a name and I'll select that name. Again, it is at complete random. And again, a lot of the times you guys vote yourselves for who you would like to have selected based on the questions that I have for a particular show. Now, quick question, and this is for every single person in this particular setup, and this isn't for the $250. But how many of you went yesterday and actually looked at the Twitter charts in terms of what's happening in the markets? And if you did, just put your hand up in the chat and let me know you went through that Twitter chart and you had a look at what's happening. There's some massive opportunities, guys. The last couple of weeks, we've been speaking about markets coming back into normality. We're finally seeing it, and it is massive. But I think without further ado, what we're going to do this morning is we're going to jump right into the news, and we're going to have a look at what's really happening in the world from a data perspective. And I think we're just going to start things off and just, with what is busy happening. And it's happening right now, and it's pretty hot. So we're looking directly at, Elon jumping back in and saying he's now going to agree to buy Twitter for the original 44 billion US buyouts. Now, again, this is a complete contrast to what we've seen over the past couple of weeks. And just to give you a quick 30-second recap of what this all means. Originally, Elon made a bid to buy Twitter, saying he wishes to change the platform. He wishes for the platform to become more open and to not limit and censor free speech. He then dived a little bit deeper and discovered that there was a bunch of data that he wasn't happy with in terms of the amount of bots that Twitter is claiming is within the system, real users versus bots and automated type accounts. And this is drawn out in the past couple months in this very nasty tit for tat, but ultimately meaning that Twitter's share price has fallen substantially from the original buyout price that Elon had agreed upon. Now, this week, the 6th and the 7th, Elon was set to be deposed in terms of this court case, in the same as Jack Dorsey, as same as their former chief technology officer. And this was going to expose a whole bunch of issues with the business. Now, we have also seen in the past couple of weeks that Twitter has gone through a mirage of staffing complications, staffing retention issues, and just in general, the company looks to be in a very, very vulnerable position. Now, do I think Elon has what it takes to completely turn around this company? Absolutely. My only fear, specifically with someone like Elon that has so much pull, that has such a big following, we recognize the amazing things he's done in terms of SpaceX, Tesla, Solar City, as well as PayPal, and all these other amazing business endeavors, is that I'm hoping that Elon understands the fact that when he does something, a lot of people are following, right? So if we look at the crypto issues, we look at Dogecoin as an example, or meme trading, Elon tweeted Doge to the moon, right? And a whole bunch of people bought into Dogecoin at its peak, and then it obviously started to tumble and fall. So I'm hoping that he understands the responsibility and the burden that sits on him. And remember, he's just another human being, just a normal guy, right? At the end of the day. But doing something like this will signal to a lot of people that there will be strength in Twitter. But I do believe he also has the skills and the business savvy to pull it off. So we are going to be looking at Twitter's share price. We are going to be starting to look to getting into Twitter as a long-term investment. And that is from my personal perspective. So I will be sharing this article directly in the group. And for those of you who want a little bit more than just a 2-minute update on what's happening, it's definitely worth following. It's about to get crazy. It's about to get hot. So quickly having a look there, Neo is saying good morning. Rion is saying morning all. John Jonas is saying that he put his hand up. Doggo is saying NFP Friday. Yes, Doggo, thank you for reminding me. Remember, we are trading non-farm payrolls this Friday live in a special edition show. Traditionally, I don't like to trade NFP live, but what we're going ahead and doing is we're going to be doing that live with all of our accounts and clients that have more than $100 in your account. So if you want to be a part of that, please make sure you're funded with at least a minimum of $100, right? There are people that are being excluded because they only have $98 at that point in time. So make sure a minimum of $100. We will email you out the link for that special broadcast on Friday. We are going to be trading NFP on Friday. Data is going to come out at 2:30. We're going to start a bit earlier, do some analysis, do some, market structure, and prepare for what could eventually happen. Ultimately, we're going to look at that NFP move at 2:30 on Friday. This Friday coming up, and you don't want to miss that. That is going to be huge. Now, that is going to be the biggest item or article for today. We obviously know and understand markets recovered massively yesterday. Markets are calling it for a bunch of reasons, this recovery, but ultimately, we saw this massive recovery. We predicted it, we traded it, we were in that trade, so it's pretty obvious as to why it happened, and it was mostly price action. Again, I was under the belief that we were in a temporary bull structure, and we weren't. We were obviously moving into that market structure where it was just a bear trap that we got out of into a bull trap. Now, in terms of some of that fundamental data, we're going to quickly move into the economic calendar this morning, and we have a fairly busy day. Now, if we just have high impact news, we can see that, we're missing quite a few things. But when we start to include the medium impact, we start to see that it's definitely PMI day across the board. So what does PMI mean? PMI means Purchasing Manager Index, right? And this is where, purchasing managers around the country on the US side, or with whatever country they're representing, they have an index over, how easy it is to obtain certain things and what are the costs to obtain. And so when we look at the Purchasing Manager Index and we start to see those numbers rise, and it's an index based out of 100, it shows the health of the purchasing or the money spend economy. So those PMI data are going to be key because, again, it's going to point towards, are things yet at the peak from an inflation perspective, or are we going to still see the US Federal Reserve hike interest rates in the extremely aggressive manner that they've done up until now? So those numbers are going to be important. And again, it's going to be important for each country that data represents. So Euro this morning is going to be extremely sensitive towards its PMI data. Again, all eyes are going to be on inflation and interpreting the inflation move there. At 10:30, we're expecting some GDP, pound PMI data. And then starting from 2:15 this afternoon, that's 2:15 GMT plus 2, we're going to start to get the first really important figure that is going to give us indication as to what we could expect for the non-farm payrolls for September. Remember, this Friday, the first Friday of every month, we get the data for the previous month. So ADP non-farm employment change is going to give us that little bit of a hint as to what we could expect from a data perspective coming out this Friday. So again, this is going to have a huge ripple effect on, the labor market. The Federal Reserve keeps referring back to the labor market being that it's the strongest it's ever been. There's more jobs than people even have to fill. And so that has been the argument this whole time. Again, has the interest rate increase, has that put enough stress on the economy that more people, that unemployment is going up and that more people are filing for unemployment? So that would be a major sign that the US economy is slowing down. But again, remember, it's part of their jobs, right? When it comes to these monetary policies, they've already explained that unemployment was sitting at about 3.6%, I believe, and they want to get that closer to 4.4% to slow down the economy. So meaning part of the job of some of these financial tools is to create more unemployment, believe it or not, right? In order to slow down inflation and bring the economy back into those normal means and terms. So that is going to have a whole bunch of people interpreting the data. Again, I'm starting to rely more on price action. In this last week or so, we've seen that none of the data has made sense and price action has remained king. Moving into later this afternoon, again, fully dominated by the dollar. And I think the one we're going to look out for is ISM non-manufacturing PMI as well as services PMI. So ISM services PMI coming out 4:45 this afternoon, and then the ISM non-manufacturing PMI coming out at 4 o'clock exactly this afternoon. So our live broadcast might go as far as that live broadcast, but we will obviously pay attention to try and cover that in terms of what that could mean and where that could be going. Okay, super. So guys, now that we've covered a little bit of the news, as always, the next thing is to jump straight into the markets. But before we jump into the markets, right, I want to announce we're going to be doing something very, very special for this Friday's NFP. And we're going to test it this afternoon in our dollars for lunch session. And what this comes down to is when we see big moves, right, we're going to set a timer and we're going to ask the question, where do you think price is going to be on a certain asset by a certain time? So example, and I'd love your guys' feedback on this, because I think it's a really great way for us to all look at the charts, all look at the markets and weigh in and create some fun and interest and excitement around the charts and around the markets and the possibilities of being a trader. So it goes a little something like this. So as an example, if we look at this afternoon's New York Stock Exchange open, we're going to look at US 30 as an example, and we're going to get people to vote. We're going to get you guys to vote in the comments. Where do you think the price of US 30 will end by the 340 candle, right? So if you look at 1 minute ticks, where will price be? And the person that's closest to that number, right, will win a giveaway and a credit towards their live account. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think it's an absolutely amazing idea. The team has come up with this, and I do believe it's something we could do and really have a lot of fun with. And we'll do the same thing with NFP, right? We're going to ask, where do you think price will reach by a certain time? And the person closest to that number, right, we will do that giveaway too. And again, it's just a vote. It's just dropping a comment and saying, I think price is going to be at 13,900 as an example. I'm going to participate too, right? So I'm going to play along as well, because hey, I want an extra $250 credit, $500 credit just for guessing a number. So I just need to ask the team if I qualify for that. But that's what I would like to do. I think that's going to be a really great and cool, fun idea for us to just take things to the next level. So if you guys agree, that is something we're going to do. So we're going to start it today. We're going to start a trial run today. So for the New York Stock Exchange open, we're going to look at the price of US 30 and predict where we think it's going to end up. And the person closest to that number will give away. That will just be by default a $250 credit to your live account. So we're going to look at where that market ends within 10 minutes of the New York Stock Exchange open. And the person closest to that time is essentially going to be the one that gets that $250. So it's going to be a ton of fun. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But as always, we're here for the charts. We're here to look at the data. So I think without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into starting with the FX fundamental analysis. Brilliant stuff. So let's jump straight in it. And we're going to start off this morning. We're going to look at the dollar index. And the reason we're not jumping straight into having a look at US 30 this morning, and I'll show you why, is because there's a much bigger analysis we want to do on US 30, and we really want to prepare for this afternoon's move and what this could mean for markets. So we're going to start off this morning with the dollar index. And as I explained yesterday, we were looking for that continued momentum to the downside. We got that. The whole of yesterday, the dollar lost value across the board. Now we are at that pivotal moment where I believe that if the dollar crosses a certain threshold, right, we could see a mass sell-off on the dollar, and it could be substantial for the share price and essential just trading and exchange price for the dollar. So that level for me is going to be that on the dollar index, firstly, that we breach the 108, I'd say 109 flat mark, right? So if the dollar index falls below that 109 flat mark, we're on a definite position of weakness for the dollar. And then furthermore, if we break that, guys, that is going to be huge. It means we're going to be in massive opportunities for gold or commodity longs. We're going to be in massive opportunities for indice buys. It's going to be something else. And I foresee that it can end up happening. Again, we're going to get that fundamental data in today. And I'm not too concerned about the fundamental data, but what I would like to see is a event that supports our outlook in terms of where things are busy going. So Silas is busy saying, already giving us a number. So no, Silas, we will do it live in the show, right? So as the New York Stock Exchange opens, we will get everybody who's got an opportunity to give their votes within that minute. Everybody can vote where they think the price will end. And then within 10 minutes at the 340 candle is where we will look at who was right or who was closest to that mark. So don't worry, you don't have to vote now. It's too far away. And the numbers will be a little bit crazy, but we're going to have fun with it, right? This is here for us to have a bit of fun. And again, just massive thank you to the Globex 360 team and executive team that has allowed us this opportunity to do these amazing things together. Okay, so on the dollar side, again, I'm looking for that break. And if you see that break of the 108, I'd say 109 flat is definitely that absolute bottom end here, 109 flat. But should we start to see that break, that is where we're going to look for bigger opportunities on some of the other instruments that we can potentially take advantage of. Now, looking at Euro USD this morning, as we jump into it, Euro USD is again in that position that we could very well see a definite breakout as we get past that dollar parity, right? So we talk about the parity, we're talking about €1 equaling $1. And it's the first time again in like 20 years, we're seeing that a euro is worth less than $1. Again, I do suspect that that dollar strength has caused bear traps wherever we're seeing the dollar as the quote currency, meaning Euro USD, euro is the base currency, dollar is the quote currency. Again, if you look at gold, XAU USD, dollar is the quote currency. So wherever the dollar is the quote currency, we're seeing those bear traps. Wherever it's the base currency, we're seeing bull traps. So again, should we start to see over today and tomorrow that Euro USD breakout, guys, we're going to have a ton of not just day trades, but swing trades available that we could hold for days or weeks, right? So again, when we talk about recessionary times, we talk about moments and opportunities. These moments don't come very often, right? They come once every 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? That markets align in such a manner that if you're involved, if A, you're prepared and you have the information, you have the resources available, and you have, when we talk about resources, a funded account to take advantage of that, and the opportunity arises, we see massive things. And that is why in recessionary periods, wealthier people just make a whole lot more money, while the rest of the world suffers for 5, 10, 15 years after that recessionary period. The wealthiest people on earth bounce back within a month and are making more money than they've ever made before, right? So it's about a wealth mindset we need to adjust to. So EURUSD, definite opportunity for that long there. Looking at USD ZAR really quickly, again, we're getting that massive continuation on that sell. I'm not looking at chasing USD ZAR for a sell. Should we get overwhelming negative dollar data, I may very well, but again, I'm looking rather for that buy that we could potentially see in the next couple days. I think USD ZAR, from my perspective, and that's my personal opinion only, is I'm honestly looking for a USD ZAR buy that I can hold long term, and that would probably occur, I would say, on my estimation, probably in the next 2 to 3 trading days. So if we see that massive continuation to the downside, then I would start to look for that USD ZAR buy opportunity again at that 17 Rand 1 cent mark. But again, even though we're seeing USD ZAR fall because of that dollar weakness, again, even with the dollar still being weak, that is why I do believe the USD ZAR will still continue to the top side because the rand is still going to be weaker. We are facing more challenges, right? We also just heard recently that we're going to go through water shedding, right? As if load shedding wasn't enough. Gauteng has been placed under level 2 water restrictions, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, if we're shedding power, if we're shedding water, like what else are we going to start shedding? Like we do salary shedding, right? I don't know what's next. So all jokes aside, it is a very serious matter. But yeah, absolutely something we do need to pay attention to. So USD I definitely still have that long term opinion on where it's going to go. Now, finally, quickly jumping into the commodity side of things before we move fully into having a look at what is currently happening on commodities. We want to just have a look at what's currently happening on US30. And I think, it's going to be a very important thing to understand where we're currently at as well as where we're going. So if you don't understand, why we are where we are and why we've breached, this 6-month low, I do highly advise you to go ahead and go rewatch one of the past shows, right? In the course of last week, where we could potentially end up going. So the important thing to understand is that someone messaged me after the show yesterday and asked, where should our TPs be for these buy opportunities? Again, we're looking at old Fibonacci levels in terms of trying to understand where markets could consolidate and where we could potentially take profit. Now, what is going to be important for today, specifically on US30, and I think indices across the board, right, is going to be these levels that we're currently anticipating and we're currently at. Do we hold out above or below, or do we break these levels, right? So from my perspective, that's what I'm looking at. And I'm also then starting to look at, are we starting to create this uncertainty because of that massive move we've had? Now, normally speaking, when we get a symmetrical triangle type consolidation formation, we generally, once we're at the apex, we generally get a breakout, okay? And we're not getting that. We got a symmetrical triangle consolidation, and we reached the apex, and we just now moved straight past the apex, which is a fairly rare sight to see. But we also need to pay attention to the fact that we're no longer within this bull structure, right? We started to move a little bit outside of the structure, and this could start to be a sign of the fact that we could get some sort of pullback. Again, for me, and I've said it before, the absolute value proposition for me on a US30 long sits at that 29,700 range is where I would like to see it. So, and a pullback in US30 is likely, but so is a continuation to the top side. So we want to be prepared for either event. This morning, because of this move and because we've moved out towards the side, I wasn't too stressed about looking at buying or selling US30 this morning at the 9 o'clock mark, purely because of how markets consolidated, and specifically with what Twitter has said in terms of their response and what Elon has announced. This is going to really put markets in a state of uncertainty. It's definitely a positive long term, but the markets need to absorb and look at that data. I did see someone ask a question about Elon talks, markets listen. Absolutely. I saw something about Trump. Did I see something about Trump? Let's see. Yeah, so guys, unfortunately, when Elon speaks, markets really move around that. So again, I think the markets this morning are in a little bit of shock. Remember, in the US right now, it's late evening, depending on which side of the US state you are. They've got a ton of different time zones. But ultimately, at the moment, the market's on limbo because of what has been said and what's currently happening. So I do believe we need to wait this one out and see what ends up happening there. And that'll follow the same thing with NASDAQ. It'll follow the same thing with German 30, right? German 30 and NASDAQ look almost identical from a market formation perspective. And so US 30 really is going to be, I feel, the one that gives us that hint as to what we're going to end up seeing happen over here in terms of this market. So for this afternoon session, I'm going to reanalyze indices. We're going to clean up the charts. We're going to take away all the past data. If you've been in past shows, where we're coming from. And so we're really going to focus about the future and where we're busy going, because the opportunities for this is absolutely massive. And we're obviously going to give that a lot more focus. But quickly moving into commodities now, because again, I think this is where we're going to see a massive focus. We're currently looking right now at gold. And gold is going to be a huge focus for us over the coming weeks and or months, right? I think we're really going to need to pay a lot of attention to this. Again, a couple reasons. First reason being that right, if we just have a look at that structure on gold, right? I talked about the $1,690 to an ounce of gold being that absolute low, right? We got and saw that push down below that low when we got the interest rates announcements. We've now recovered not only above that low, but we're also now in a position of breaking market structure on gold to end this bear cycle. Now, again, we are technically at resistance, right? If you look at it from a daily perspective, right, it might look like we are through, but please remember that just a small push to a level doesn't constitute getting through that level, right? We'd like to see a nice concerted effort, a nice push through. And what you want to do is take an absolute worst case scenario. You really want to look at your trend lines and manipulate them to really show a worst case scenario. If you're really looking at, you're trying not to see price breakthrough. You're trying to keep price under your resistance. So when it goes through at the absolute worst case scenario, you are 100% certain that price is broken through and we can start to look at long opportunities. Now, again, where I think we're going to see a perfect storm, right? Perfect storm meaning price action is there, fundamentals are there, sentimentals are there, everything's lining up to push things in a massive direction. Again, is going to be twofold. First being that dollar index break of the levels that I was discussing a little bit earlier. Secondly, if we break that dollar index level, we start to see that bull market structure break. That will be the catalyst that will also help this bear market structure break on gold. And then we could see some really crazy pricing on gold. And I believe this is something that could be a massive long-term trade. So I think without a doubt, we certainly can go back to those, $2,050 to an ounce. And again, we're reading plus minus in the region of about 3,200 pips north side just on gold, right? And for those of you who enjoy trading commodities, you understand how big that can be. But again, what we're looking for is this breakout, and this could constitute for a pullback to 61.8 and then a move. So we just need to be ready on this one to pull the trigger, because I think that is where the big opportunity is going to be. Now, I do believe that the office is, we were currently having a morning meeting at the office, and I do believe the office is out of those meetings and should potentially be out of those meetings. So it means it's time to give away some money. Now, I'm looking at the chats, and we're seeing people are not serious for gold. Neo's asking, does gold and Euro USD move in the same direction? So Neo, yes, there is a correlation, and that is because of the reason that when we look at Euro USD and we look at gold, the dollar is essentially the quote currency on both of them, right? So we talk about the base currency in Euro USD, Euro is the base currency. If we talk about the base currency on gold, XAU is the, so when we see Euro USD rise and we see gold rise, when the correlation is there, it's because the dollar is a contributing factor, right? You can see a situation where Euro USD falls and gold rises, and that would be because the dollar is not the controlling factor, and potentially gold is getting stronger, which has no effect on Euro USD. It can have a knock-on effect on the dollar, but that's the way you need to see that, right? Is that when a commodity is moving in correlation, where the currency pairs, base and quotes share a common currency, then yes, correlation is intact and it's moving correctly. Now, in the past, we used to see the dollar and gold move in opposite correlation. That has, however, been broken for the past couple months, if not the past couple years, but that may be coming back into play. Remember, whenever there's a reset in the market, when I talk about a reset, I'm talking about a shaking. Financial institutions are going under threat, or banking crises, or whatever the case may be. Markets get shook up and come back into normality. So again, when I see markets act a little bit crazy, I'm automatically excited, because I know that next season is going to allow us some clean and really good trading from a price action perspective. So I hope that answers your question. But I think let's talk about what's going to be happening today, right? Let's talk about what we're going to potentially be looking at in terms of a giveaway. So what I'm looking for from an answer and from a data perspective is I'm going to be asking this question, and the first person to find the answer and give me that answer we're going to be asking you to supply us with your MT4 number, and we are essentially going to be crediting your account with that $250. We may do more than one, we may do more than $250, but we'll see based on the amount of energy that you guys end up giving us in terms of that. Right, so the question for today is going to be, I'm looking at, maybe that's a little bit too complicated of a question. Let me find something a little bit easier for everybody to actually find and or go through. So I'm looking for the Spanish services PMI number that we've just got released at 9:15. So I'm looking for the Spanish PMI number that just was released at 9:15. The first one to give me that number. If you have a Globex 360 live account and it is funded with more than $100, we will credit you with $250. So I'm looking for the Spanish services PMI data. What was that number that came out at 9:15 this morning? Let's see. Nico Fence is saying 48.5. Nico, you are correct. Please send us your Nico's on point right there. Nico, please send us your MT4 number. You can direct inbox it to me on Telegram. The link to my Telegram handle is down in the description below, and we will credit you with that $250 credit towards your live trading account. So thank you for being super quick on that. Now remember, this afternoon for the Dollars for Lunch session, we're going to be looking at playing that, I want to call it a game, but really it's a strategy session, right? Where do we think price is going to be by a certain time? And I think that is going to be game changing. I think we're going to have a ton of fun. And remember, I get to participate too. So I also get to vote, right? So if I'm the closest to that price, then I get the credit, whatever it may end up being. If you're closest to the price, wherever it may end up being, I still have to ask the executive team if I qualify. But yeah, we'll find out how we can make that work. So this afternoon session, we're going to have a ton of fun. We're going to be introducing a bunch of new things in terms of how we trade, how we look at markets. But remember, again, guys, if you don't have your cashback wallets, you want to get involved. You want to get that cashback wallet. Right? Globex 360 shares with you and gives back to their clients a portion of the spread that they make when executing orders directly in real money back to your live account. So you want to make sure you've got that. And getting a cashback wallet is super simple. It's probably one of the most simple things you can do to physically add money to your pocket right here, right now. Super, super simple stuff. And all you want to do is create a new account. Under the account type, you just want to select cashback wallet, and your cashback wallet will appear on the left-hand side in your menu. And every time you trade, that will be credited to your account, right? So you don't have to do anything. Every time you trade on your live account, a portion of that will be credited to your cashback wallet. You can use that to withdraw. You can use that to trade with. It's completely up to you and up to you at your own discretion. Okay, Peter from Make is saying, what was the question? My connection dropped. It's already too late, guys. Thank you for all the answers. You guys are absolute machine. Nico was super fast, guys. Like, people are still only dropping the comments now. But Nico was not playing games. Like, Nico was going super fast. I looked at a more deeper question, but again, it would have been a little bit harder to find. But we are going to go ahead and do that. Now, the second question coming up, and you want to pay attention to this because, again, yesterday I dropped a question and people heard the question but didn't hear the question, if you know what I mean, right? The second question in terms of that I'm going to be asking for this morning is, I want to ask you, when it comes to meeting the team, right? So for those of you that already know what I'm going to potentially ask, you might want to head almost immediately over to the site, right? And what I'm going to ask for Meet the Team is, I'm asking who here, right, in Meet the Team, wears glasses, all right, but also has a beard, right? Who in the team wears glasses, but also has a beard? Okay. So whoever answers that really quickly, we will credit you as well with another $250. If you don't know where to go, you want to go to the Globex 360 site, and you want to go ahead. Guys, I'm not wearing glasses. I think Wayne got it already. No, it was Peter. Who got it? Let's just see here. Everyone's saying me. No, guys. I have a beard, but I'm not wearing. I have contact lenses, but no glasses. How do we meet the team, Silas? go over to the site. You want to go and have a look over there. So I think it was the team will help me on this one, but I'm pretty sure it was Peter van Wyk vote Billy. I'm pretty sure. So Brand does have glasses, but I'm still convincing him to grow a beard. So that hasn't started yet, but he will. I'm pretty sure he will go full on in the next little bit. So I do believe it was Peter van Wyk. Peter, please will you drop your MT4 details, send it to me on Telegram as well, and the team will credit you as well with that $250 directly towards your live account. I just want to quickly have a look here. There we go. Nico Fent has sent his MT4 number. Let's quickly get that over to the team really quickly. Beautiful. Nico, we will be sorting it out shortly. And please... Okay, there we go. And then please, Peter van Wyk, if you can go ahead and please send me your MT4 number, we will get that credited to your live account. Now, guys, what we're going to be doing this afternoon is going to be substantially different to what we've potentially done in other sessions, but we are really going to have some fun with it. So we're really going to try to see how we take trading to the next level and how we, in essence, really take things to the point where everyone can be just as excited about trading as I am and some of us, we all are together. So we are going to really try and see how we can diversify that. I'm just waiting for Peter's details before I end this broadcast because I know I might end up forgetting. Used to have glasses and a beard. Yes, used to. Let's just quickly see here. Okay, so Peter's taking a little bit of time here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Peter's just sent through his details. Peter, I'm forwarding this on to the team. Guys, please stand by and make sure you do have a look because your live account will be credited very, very, very shortly. Now, again, for everybody that might be texting, guys, if you're sending WhatsApps or Telegrams asking questions about analysis, I'm in the show. So it's super hard to reply to those text messages. The best way to get hold of me or to engage with us specifically in the live format content is use the YouTube chats. Now, you might need to be signed into YouTube in order to be able to use it, but simply just sign in with your Gmail account, and that gives you an opportunity to engage with us, to ask questions and participate with us in pretty much everything that we do. So guys, we've had a great session today. Really what we're going to be focusing on is having a look at where Twitter currently sits and how do we take advantage of that. Now, I don't want to end this broadcast before we discuss this because this is going to be big and potentially an opportunity that we can take advantage of as traders, really to diversify. If you're only trading NASDAQ, if you're only trading gold, right? Again, you're not diversified. You're currently sitting in one asset and one asset only. And if you haven't had the time to start learning about shares and stocks and commodities and assets and the pricing, this is definitely going to be the time you'd want to start to have a look at that. So what we're going to do now, let's just jump straight in. And I want to quickly have a look at what is currently happening with the price of Twitter. So yesterday, at the point of our broadcast, I'm going to just show you guys a weekly really quickly. And this has been Twitter's share price, right? And at the point where we started to get the announcements that, Elon's getting involved and, he's looking at purchasing Twitter, right? We were floating in this range, right? Ultimately, Twitter has lost a bunch of its share price. We saw an absolute low coming in about 2 months ago, and that was sitting at about $32 per share of Twitter. And at the point of the announcement, this is currently looking from a weekly time frame. If we go back to a daily, we could see that yesterday we were in a position, we were starting that outside edge of that breakout. And that is what I was pretty excited about yesterday, in the sense that if we see the Twitter trial go through all these crazy emotions, we could potentially see that sell-off on the price of Twitter. But again, now that we've got this buy momentum, we've got this real buy activity from Elon, we can see that Twitter share prices literally went from just around about $42, right, to a share to $52. Guys, that's a 20% jump in Twitter's evaluation. 20%. So if Twitter was worth, let's say $10 billion, Twitter's now worth $12 billion, just in that one move, as an example. So we want to obviously look at how do we get into this. We want to look at how do we take this as an opportunity. And we're going to dive into this in much more detail when we get into, we open up the New York Stock Exchange Open, because I'm going to teach you guys how to go ahead and read, these instruments and how to know where to trade it. So for many people who potentially try to maybe buy Twitter shares in terms of this hearing, you'll notice that, you weren't able to make that purchase on the share price. However, if you go into the asset, right, and you right click and you just literally go specification, you'll see that when the orders can be executed, and that's from 4:30 in the afternoon to 11 in the evening. That is the time the stock market is open, and that is the time that you can place an order on the trade. So we're going to be looking at placing some Twitter buys in this New York Stock Exchange Open again, also slightly dependent on what we end up seeing come out of the news and the data in relation to this acquisition. So I'm super excited. I want to get involved and diversified more into individual stocks as opposed to just holding, these general asset classes across the board. So if you're excited about that and you want to be a part of that, make sure you do not miss Dollars for Lunch. That'll happen this afternoon at 3:15 on the dot. Okay, brilliant. Guys, let's just quickly see here. Let's quickly have a look here. How do I find Guardian Angel? Okay, Gawain is asking how to find out about Guardian Angel. Guys, we will help you sort that out. We'll have special educational processes on Guardian Angel, as well as all the other tools. That's going to be coming in our brand new Traders Academy. We've just done the rebrand. It's looking really good. It's looking super sexy. I don't know if I can say the word sexy, but I did. I might as well say it third time, sexy. So we've done it 3 times. But that is all coming in our brand new academy. That's going to be launching really, really soon. So you want to definitely be a part of that. And for everybody that has questions about price action, risk management, analysis, psychology, trading strategies, that's all going to be part of the academy. And we're going to be teaching deep revelations. So for those of you who've gone out there and studied and you just haven't found the key or what it is that you're missing towards your trading strategy and or career, I can absolutely guarantee the new Globex 360 Traders Academy will blow your socks away. All right, so Nick is saying that his account has been credited. Absolutely amazing. Let's just quickly have a look here. Let's just see here, sent and thank you. Peter from Bake, just confirm for us, Peter, that you do have that credit in and under your live account. I would appreciate that. That just lets us know that everything's sorted and you are taken care of on your side. So without further ado, guys, thank you so much. Remember, this afternoon, we're going to be looking at indices. We're going to be looking at commodities. Again, we're also going to be looking at potentially getting involved into Twitter, as well as starting to look at some bigger dollar short opportunities that we will obviously get more involved in. Raiz Yusuf is asking, I still want to know, where do I find Meet the Team? Guys, go and have a look at the brand new Globex 360 website. I've said the word too many times, but you know what it looks like. It looks really, really good. But down in the link in the description down below, go to www.globex360.co.za and navigate the site. And you click on About Us, there's the Meet the Team tab. And then you can go and have a look at, all the amazing individuals that come together to bring something like this to every single one of you. Right behind the scenes, when it comes to deposits, withdrawals, KYC, finance, legal, there's so many amazing human beings that are behind the scenes that are essentially, making everything that we do and the services that you receive possible. And so really in this next season, we want you to get to know us. We want you to get to know the team so that, you can help fall in love with the brand just as much as we have, as we take Globex and make it the #1 name, the only name in the South African continent when it comes to Forex trading. All right, guys, absolutely amazing. Thank you as always. Remember to live and trade, and as always, do things the Globex 360 way. I will see you guys all for Dollars for Lunch, and we will give away some more money. We'll make some more trades, bank some more pips, and this is just how we do. Until I see you then, goodbye.